Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Pleasure Priority Podcast with me, Amber Taylor. This is the podcast all about how you can have the audacity to put yourself and your pleasure first, which ultimately shapes a life perfect for you. We discuss friends and family, career and money, oppression, healing, and mental health, current events, and historical ones too. Basically, all things life and pleasure and how you can create more of it authentically. I'm your host, Amber Taylor, and it's my pleasure to talk to you every week. Let's tune in. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. This week, we are talking all about feelings. So, feelings is something that I talk about all the time and have definitely brought up a few times on this podcast, but I wanted to take an entire episode to dive a little deeper into it. So we are going to talk about why we don't feel, why it's such a topic of conversation to talk about our feelings and our emotions and what they actually feel like in our body and what's okay, not okay, / what we think is okay, not okay, and why it's important to actually allow ourselves to feel these things. We're going to talk about processing emotions, like feeling them, allowing them to be there, letting them move through your system, and releasing the intensity of them. And essentially within that, how to actually feel your emotions and process them on a regular basis. So, yeah, jam-packed episode. Let's get to it. So, no matter who you are or where you're from, life is going to be 50-50, meaning there's always going to be good and there's always going to be bad because that's what life is. Now, these monikers of good and bad are subjective, and that's different for everyone. And this breakdown of 50-50 isn't exactly 50-50 of like half the time things are going to be good and half the time things are going to be bad. It's really just alluding to there's always going to be a mixture. It's not just going to be one of one thing and one of the other thing. And also, we get to decide what's good, what's bad, and what just is for ourselves. But everything we feel, all emotions, all feelings are part of the human experience, are an essential part of the human experience. That's why they're there. When we think about the human body and the human brain and the miracle that it is and how our systems work together and communicate with each other without our force, knowledge doing most of the time, we are miracles in of ourselves. And everything that is a part of us, including our emotions, including the things that we may consider bad or that we don't like or we want to change, is part of us and therefore is part of that miracle. So don't try to ignore or avoid the quote unquote bad feelings because they're supposed to be there too. But so often people think that there should be more quote unquote good in their lives than quote unquote bad. And that the point of life is just to experience the good things and direct your life towards the good things. And if you're not facing the good things, then something is going wrong. However, it's impossible to only have a good life. If you only experienced positivity and pleasure, it would no longer be positive or pleasurable. Like, think about your life right now and everything that you'd classify as the good stuff, the amazing stuff, the fun stuff, the love this type of stuff, like that list. If your life only consisted of that list, you would still begin to rank the things within that list. So even though everything in there is good and awesome and fun and amazing, you'd be like, oh, well, this is more fun, more amazing, more whatever. And these are less fun, less pleasurable, less exciting, whatever. And like you'd change your perspective to having good and bad within all the good. You can't escape that dichotomy, that duality. There will always be two sides of a coin. There will always be multiple sides of a situation, multiple ways that you can look at something. So chasing one side is honestly a moot point. It's the range of positive and negative emotions. That's what gives our life meaning. And the good can only feel good in comparison to the bad. So when you start learning thought work and getting into the power that you actually have with noticing what's going on in your mind and deciding what to think and feel on purpose, there's oftentimes this strong desire to just change everything and change all your thoughts positive so then you can feel better. But this is not the purpose of thought work. It's a mistake that people often make, but our job is not to be happy all the time. My job as your coach is not to make you happy all the time. My job is to help you see and understand what's happening in your mind and help you decide what you want to do with that information and how you want to use it for your highest benefit. And sometimes the best thing to do is to feel shitty. Sounds counterintuitive, but I'm getting there. Roll with me. So people, when they want to just try to change everything positive and try to feel better all the time, that approach negates the reality of their actual situations, their actual circumstances, in light of the easy or happy path. Like, oh, if I can just ignore or change all the bad stuff, then I can just always be happy. And again, it doesn't work like that. So the purpose of thought work is to gain awareness of what goes on in your head creates the results in your life. And you do this by paying attention to what you think, how you feel, and why. What's going on in your head? What's going on in your body? How's it connected? What's a trigger? These are not things that most adults do inherently. We're not really taught that way. We're almost taught kind of the opposite, to only highlight our good emotions, ignore the bad ones, push down anything that's not working or that doesn't feel good, worry about how everybody else is feeling before we allow ourselves to be with how we are feeling. We're kind of taught that entire dynamic. So turning inward and checking in with ourselves can be very foreign. However, that's how we naturally function. That's how we learn to understand things and the world around us. That's why we teach children first how to understand their own emotions before we even introduce other people and other people's emotions and our effect on them. It has to come first. We have to come first. But over time, due to socialization, due to all the isms, the capitalism, the racism, the sexism, the patriarchy, the oppression, everything has changed the way that we naturally operate to ignore our own feelings in light of everyone else's and making sure everyone else is good. Because then if they're good, then we can be good. Then we're allowed to be good. Then it's safe for us to feel good. But I actually want to teach you how to recognize and honor your own emotions first. Owning how you feel and allowing how you feel, no matter how scary or uncomfortable or foreign it may be, is how you own your own power. And it can be awkward at first to look inward and connect to your body and how you really feel, especially because of all that conditioning that I just mentioned. And it can also be scary to unearth some of the feelings that you have repeatedly pushed down, ignored, resisted. But that's when we remember that our actual emotional feelings are harmless. They may suck, they may hurt, they may feel amazing, but they actually do not cause us harm. They are just sensations in the body. They're vibrations in the body. Recognizing them is what allows them to dissipate, is what allows them to decrease in intensity. And when you actually allow your feelings, the worst thing that can happen is that you feel vibrations and sensations in your body. And you just allow yourself to sit with them. So, becoming aware, noticing, and gaining an understanding of your emotions are the first steps of lasting change. And honestly, anything that you want to change. So, in order to change your thoughts and emotions, you must first be with them, sit with them, get to know them, allow them to exist as they are, and be willing to be present with them as they are. When we are desperate or eager to get out of pain, we try to just skip over our emotions or ignore them, which ultimately just creates more pain. It just perpetuates the same cycle, which is why we have to stop it by looking at it. And once we look at it, once we sit with it, that's when we get the chance to actually resolve our emotions. That unwillingness to accept negative emotions or negative thoughts and process them just exasperates your pain. But biologically, our emotions are designed to give us information. They're designed to alert us of something. It's like an evolutionary trigger to help us survive. Granted, we are human beings, we are animals, and our purpose is survival. We want to seek pleasure and avoid pain in the most simplest of terms. Our emotions help us navigate what to seek and what to avoid. So, even if we think about the fear of other people's opinions about you or being ostracized or FOMO or fear of missing out, one can be traced back to the evolutionary idea based in that it's more likely that we survive by staying a part of a group. So our brain is steering us to be connected to other people to make sure that we're not kicked out because it recognizes that as a death sentence. And this is why it's so important to understand your emotions and what they're trying to do for you and have a relationship with them. Because in this day and age, it is not a death sentence if people don't like us or want to hang out with us or want to be around us. We have the means to lead lives by ourselves. We can get food and shelter by ourselves. So it's not as big of a deal as it used to be, but our brain still thinks it is. It still responds to the idea as if it's a life or death situation. So when we give our attention back to that emotion, we can take back control by creating safety for our brain, letting it know that it's okay, we got it. If somebody doesn't like us, we're not going to die if we are no longer in a friend group or whatever. Creating that safety within of ourselves. So when that feeling arises, we can nurture it, be there for it, support it, and let it know that it doesn't have to sound the alarm here because we already have things under control. So that fear, that anxiety, it goes down, it dissipates because the need was understood, like, hey, this is dangerous. And we're like, nope, it's actually okay. We're going to be all right. Okay, I'm thinking like kids, you teach them, don't touch the stove. It's hot. But when you see them reaching for something dangerous like a stove, be like, okay, well, don't do that. But also the stove is off. It's not going to harm them. Still teaching them where boundaries are, but it's not as big of a deal because the danger is not currently present. So just getting our brains to recognize that as well, like, hey, the stove is off. We don't have to sound the alarm. But yeah, if we don't do that, if we don't sit with the emotion, if we don't acknowledge it, our brain still reacts like we are in danger. And then it treats us like we're ignoring the danger. Like, oh my God, the stove is on and we're touching it and we're going to burn and everything's going to burn and the whole house is going to burn down. Like, why aren't you doing anything? And it's just getting louder and louder and louder. The alarm bell like keeps ringing because our brain is trying to signal to us like we need to do something to survive. Our brain is trying to save us, which is why we say, hey, you don't need to sound the alarm. I got it. So ignoring that will just cause the feelings to exacerbate and rise again with more intensity. But when you meet it and you're with it, it actually decreases in intensity. So yeah, whatever you're trying to push down always comes back up sooner or later. But noticing, allowing, meditating on what already is, being present with that is how you create the change you want, create the feelings you want, create the results you want. Awareness is that first step. Diving into the uncomfortableness of your feelings isn't a cakewalk in the park, especially when first getting started. I don't want to sell y'all any dreams, but the more you do it, the more you allow, the more you process, the more you get comfortable and familiar with your emotions, the easier it gets. It then becomes second nature, but it is a practice. So, in practice, how we actually feel is inviting our emotions in, noticing them, observing them, and being aware of them and communing with them with a sense of compassion. This is not resisting, this is not reacting, and this is not avoiding. I'll get into each of those a little later, but when you feel and when you allow emotions, you are really just allowing them to come and go without judgment. And it's such a radical act of self-love and self-care that you can gift yourself. So there are a few ways that I like to process emotions and teach my clients how to process emotions. And it's really finding the thing that works best for you. I usually start with the idea of just connecting to your body and noticing what's going on. So you can close your eyes if you feel comfortable and just notice what's happening. Do a body scan, check in with yourself, and just see what's happening. Okay, my right leg is a little tingly. It's got like pins and needles because I've been sitting on it for 20 minutes. And then, oh, okay, I have a little bit of a racing in my heart, or I have chills down my spine, or I have a pit in my stomach, or I have butterflies or floating sensations. Like, just notice what's happening in your body. Describe it as if you were describing to someone who had no idea what feelings were, like an alien. They assumedly have a completely different makeup. So they don't get our emotions in the way that we do. So just explaining it to them in that nature. Like, what am I physically feeling in my body? Is it hot or is it cold? Is it big or is it small? Is it moving or is it stationary? Does it have a color? Does it have a shape? Do you have the availability to move towards it or move away? Can you actually move it in your body? What does that do to it? If this set of sensations had a message for you, what would it say? And just asking and answering those questions, getting curious, and just allowing yourself to be with it actually allows you to move through it. It decreases in intensity and you get the message, you get the information that it was trying to give you. And another way to process emotions is to view them from a spectator's perspective. So basically viewing it from like a bird's eye view or viewing it outside of yourself, like as if somebody else was experiencing it and you were with them while they experienced it. So you can meet them without judgment and just notice what comes up. We're often way less hard on other people than we are on ourselves. So even just dissociating from your current emotions and looking to them as if they aren't your identity, but just a part, is super helpful for that. I have a whole episode on dissociating from emotions if you want to go back and listen to that one too. But I like to imagine my emotions. Like, I'm a very visual person and I see things in my head. If that, I know there's a word for it, I just don't know what it is. So when I have an emotion or multiple emotions that I want to allow, process, be with, I imagine my brain as if it's my house, my apartment. And I am inside, and there is a door that I can open and close to allow things in and out. So when I want to allow an emotion, I notice it at the door. Like, I look through my peephole and I see, okay, that's anxiety at the door. Oh, wait, like frustrations behind them. Oh, wait, and there's overwhelm and confusion right behind them too. Okay, I get to decide who comes in my house and how long. I get to decide if I'm inviting them in one at a time, if I'm inviting all of them in, if I am taking my pick or whatever. So I get to open the door and invite them in. So let's say I'm doing one at a time and I pick anxiety. So I invite anxiety in, we go over to the couch, we sit down and we talk. And anxiety is like, yo, I'm stressed. I'm so scared for the future. And also, I'm scared that it's going to turn out like the past. And I'm scared of this. And I'm worried about that. And this is what's going on. And I don't know what to do. And I'm freaking out and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just sitting with them on the couch, hearing them out, listening to their concerns, not judging them, not minimizing them, not telling them they're wrong, and not trying to make them leave when they're just sitting, talking, venting to me about what's going on in their life. I allow them to speak and I hear them out. Maybe I give them a hug. Maybe I give them advice. Maybe I just listen to what they want from me and in what ways I can support them. And when I'm ready, whenever I have enough, I can escort anxiety back out. I don't have to deal with all of anxiety shit at the same time. We can talk about one thing and then I can tell them that it's time to go. But just giving them that moment to speak, giving them the opportunity to let me know what they want to let me know, give me the message that they're biologically designed to alert me of, even if it doesn't make sense, even if their concern is we consciously know like that won't happen, we can still hear them out with love, kindness, and compassion. And I get to decide, always like just sticking with that analogy, who comes in my house for how long, when, why, all the things. And if you imagine feeling your emotions in that way of instead of this overwhelming thing, oh, if I allow it, then everything will come up. Like everything I've ever been angry about, everything I've ever been anxious about, everything I've ever been sad about is just going to hit me like a moving train. And that's not the case. You are not at mercy to your emotions. You have a say over the way in which you experience them, not necessarily a say in just not experiencing certain emotions, but a say in how you experience those emotions. And that is where your power is. So just open yourself to what comes up, knowing that you can handle it as it's just sensations in your body. And if you aren't ready or aren't comfortable to fully process certain feelings, you don't have to. It is your choice. You can try when you want to and stop when you want to. You are allowed. You are always in control of what you choose to work on. But I do want to talk quickly about resisting, reacting, and running from your emotions. So we just talked about what allowing was. And we're not taught that way, honestly. We're taught that or conditioned that happiness and joy and pleasure can only be achieved in the absence of sadness and struggle. We're socialized to always want more or to escape our current conditions, which is not a problem, but it is a potential recipe for disaster because when we are in this perpetual cycle to complete the race, but the finish line always moves. That's what not feeling your emotion does, is just continuing to run, and never get to that finish line. So in order to actually get there, in order to be there, in order to have what we are searching for, we must allow those emotions. But when we don't, our reaction is to respond by resisting, reacting, or running from the emotions. So resistance can seem like a noble action, noble behavior, because we're not entertaining the emotion. We're not indulging in it or diving deep down and quote unquote letting it affect us. But actually, it's counterproductive. Resistance keeps us exactly where we're at and prevents us from accepting, reconciling, and moving forward. The more you resist, the more whatever you're resisting grows and grows in power and intensity because it takes more and more of your energy and your brain space to keep trying to resist it, ignore it. It's actually so exhausting to stay in resistance. It's like just shutting the door on your problems and expecting them to go away. So going back to this analogy of processing emotions in my apartment, it's like the emotions come to the door and they knock. They initially are very respectful, very polite, and they're just like, hey, I'm here knocking. And then we are resisting them. We're like ignoring them. So we are just like not answering the door. They know we're home. We know that they know we're home, but we're just like not answering the door. But they have something to say. So they go from knocking to like pounding. And then they go from pounding to like kicking. And then all of a sudden, we have the emotion at our door, banging, yelling, screaming, doing their damnedest to get in the house. And now we're scared of even letting them in because, like, oh God, can't let this crazy person in. They're acting a fool. And it just creates more dissonance. It takes so much energy and so much brain space. And it's ultimately not a helpful response to the emotion that you're feeling. And just to like kind of finish that out, that analogy, the emotion gets so intense because it wants to be let in. It wants to have some attention. So when you give it that attention, when you open the door, it decreases in intensity. So even though it was kicking and screaming and pounding on the door to get in, when you unlock it and open it, it's like, oh, okay, I'm here now. Not as intense. So even after resistance, you do not need to fear allowing emotions. So I have a client who has been going through it with a bad breakup, and their partner had tried to like stake claims in their business, and they were also in the process of moving, buying a house, and like doing all these other things. And it was just a lot for them. And they were angry about how their ex was approaching the situation and doing things and trying to manipulate them and like the whole nine. But they weren't allowing themselves to be angry. They were like, oh, well, that's not helpful. I just have to keep moving. I have to keep going. I don't have time for that. It's not really a useful emotion. I just can like get over it, and like was ignoring or resisting the anger. And it just kept coming back and back in other ways. She was getting more irritable, having less patience, getting upset about things that she would usually just roll off her shoulder because she was resisting that initial anger. When you allow it, when she actually allowed herself to be angry, everything else dissipated. She just gave her anger a voice. She allowed it to speak, she heard it out. And sometimes that's all we need. Our emotions are a subset of us. And when we're not heard, it sucks. It's shitty. We either scream louder or we retreat. And either way, it's not good. It's not helpful for us. It does not serve us. So, summation, you can notice when you're resisting an emotion, if you have this righteous, like, oh, I don't need to feel that. Let me try and like put something over it, or it's fine. It'll just pass. Notice when that's happening and just just open the door. And another common response to negative emotion is just reacting to it. So this is acting out an emotion however you think you're supposed to act when you feel that way. And you get to do whatever you want when you feel something. But if you, let's keep going with anger. And if you just react to the anger instead of actually allowing it and feeling it and hearing it out. So maybe you're yelling, you're screaming, you're crying, you're throwing things, you're stomping your feet, you're whatever. And you're just reacting in those ways because that's what you think anger looks like. But you're not allowing yourself to actually feel it, process it, and hear it out, get the message from it, you're not really doing anything. You're reacting to the anger, like, great job for knowing that you're angry and identifying that. But a reaction is not doing anything. You can react in those same ways and process, but the most important thing is to actually process. Like, there's no wrong way to respond to emotion, there's no wrong way to act from an emotion. It's just the difference in reacting and feeling. And you want to actually feel your emotions. Feeling and processing doesn't have to look a particular way or look like anything specific. It can be as simple as sitting down and thinking. You may close your eyes. You may cry. You may need to move. You may need to scream. You may need to do something else, just checking in with your body and what you need. But the most important part, again, is connecting to that emotion. And then continuing with this analogy, we have anger at the door and we let it in, and then we are just reacting to the anger. So maybe we yell at it, maybe we push it, maybe we don't sit on the couch and we just scream in the hallway. But either way, you're not hearing out the anger. So instead of reacting to it, you still need to process. And finally, we have running from emotion. So running from emotion is basically just like avoiding, just not dealing with it. So it is similar to resistance, but I think in resistance, we are kind of aware of what it is. We are just not giving into or surrendering to actually feeling the emotion. When we're running or avoiding, we're not even trying to look at it. We're not even trying to figure out what it is. We're not even trying to figure out what we need to resist. We just need to go the other way. So this is when we are kind of drowning out our feelings with anything else to try and make ourselves feel better. These are also known as buffers, or things we do to replace an emotion we are running from with one that we prefer to feel. So anything can be a buffer, and buffers aren't inherently bad. They're just things we use to avoid. And it can honestly be anything. It could be eating, drinking, working, sleeping, shopping, cleaning, sex. Like, it can literally be anything, but it's something that you do to distract yourself from feeling the thing that you're avoiding. But the kicker is buffers don't really help you. They just delay the feeling that you're trying to avoid. And again, there's nothing wrong with this. You get to choose to feel your emotions in the first place. You get to choose when to feel those emotions. But again, avoiding them isn't helpful because they're not going away. Like, when our emotions are outside of our door, they don't like just, oh, I'll come back another time, see what's up. They camp out and they grow. Their whole intention is to get inside and tell us something. So the more that we allow, the more that we process, the more that we feel, we have a better relationship with the emotions as they come and go. And we don't have to get to the point of beating down the door or fighting them or like being scared of opening the door, because we have that come and go relationship, that door open policy with our emotions that actually allows us to be with them, process them, and learn from them. So that has been how to feel your emotions. I want y'all to listen to this episode as many times as you need to and really take the time to get familiar with your emotions. See which way of processing works for you. See if you have a new way that you make up that works for you even better. You get to decide, you get to play with it, and you get to have help. We were taught basically the opposite of everything I told y'all today. And to get back to how we naturally work can be challenging, can be difficult, can be confusing, and you deserve to have help on this journey. So, if you have any questions, if you need any guidance, please reach out to me. I am on the socials. You can see those in my show notes. You can reach out with questions. You can leave reviews. You can ask me anything that you want that you'd like more information on to get answered. And of course, you can work with me one-on-one. I am making updates to my Pleasure Priority program, and y'all, they are insane. I am so excited to share some more details too, but this is the time to get in now. It is a freaking steal at this point for everything that you get. All the changes and transformations that will happen, will be facilitated in this container are wild. My current clients are having so many life-changing transformations, and I really just want to get this out to as many people as I possibly can. So if you're interested, if you want some more help, of course, you deserve it. Let's go. Go ahead, click the link in the show notes and schedule a consult with me. We can talk about how we can work together and how I can best help you prioritize your pleasure to your next transformations. As always, such a pleasure. I'll talk to y'all soon. See ya. Hey, friends. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Pleasure Priority Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If it's your pleasure, check me out on Instagram at Amber Taylor Coaching and my website, www.ambertaylorcoaching.com, for more on increasing your pleasure across all aspects of life. As always, make sure to follow the show and check back each week for a new episode. I'd also love it if you'd leave an honest rating and review, and if you'd share the show with anyone else you think would benefit. Much love. Talk soon, friends.